All right. Well, welcome. This is our first Extraordinary Zone live, so we are so glad that you will join us. We're actually not sure what's going to happen, but for those of you who are here, my name is Kenishier, and we have this podcast called Opting Out. And when we get a chance, we love to interview what we call extraordinary people who have blazed their trails and have just done the extraordinary against all the odds, against everything that came against them, and just hear their stories to encourage us to also do the same. I believe we are all meant to be extraordinary. We're all meant to get out of that rut, opt out, and do what we are called to do. We really all do have purpose. It's actually going to be a big part of what we talk about today is purpose. Every single person has a purpose, and when we're not living our purpose, it actually makes us sick, just slowly and kind of unexpectedly until it's huge. And so we want to talk about Denny Katona, who is joining us today. Did I say your last name
You
right?
did. You did. You're one of like 10 people in the United States that says it right the first time.
Woohoo! That is a good sign for tonight. So he is joining us today as our guest on the Extraordinary Zone. And we are so glad to have you with us today. Denny is
Thank
awesome.
you for having us.
He has a nonprofit called OP Veteran that connects veterans with veterans and also just gets people in the community together to kind of help find purpose and to build community with purpose and all of that good stuff. Oh, hello. We never know what's going to happen. That's how we roll.
Hey,
okay.
why not?
Love it. So I'm going to ask Denny to kind of let us know about him, his history, and where he wants to share with us. So if you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself and your foundational start and all that good stuff.
Sure. So, I mean, I guess take it back to, you know, the United States Army veteran. I served total of 19 years, 7 years part-time, and then 12 years active in the Army. And then, served two tours in Iraq. And then in 2000, had some issues with my knees, and then finally, like in 2011, my knee said, "Okay, you're done." So I ended up getting out in 2012 on a medical discharge. So, about a year before I got out, I ended up, I'm a motorcycle enthusiast, so and while I was over there, about a year before I got out, I ended up joining a veteran motorcycle club. And we had a good time over there. I mean, we had a small group of guys. I mean, we rode a lot and tried to do some good, just community service, cleaning up the USS Missouri and all kinds of stuff like that. Got out. I was fortunate. I was able to actually secure employment before I was officially out. Right. So I came to Texas and I had a ready-made group of guys within the chapter that kind of eased my emotional transition a bit. I mean, I had a built-in support system, right? That was, I was working and everything like that, and there was some rockiness with that organization. No pun intended. But it was, basically it lost a foothold within the Central Texas area, and I had been diagnosed with PTSD before I got out of the Army. Filed my claim, had issues with that, ended up going back to the VA, like I said, in about 2014, and then the VA ended up diagnosing me again, and I ended up, getting the pharmaceutical cocktail and talking to someone I knew. Their advice to me was seek treatment elsewhere, just because of the dangers of those pharmaceuticals. So I ended up getting help through the Corporal Chettle Luxlogan Foundation, and what they do is they fund definitive PTSD treatment, utilizing non-pharmaceutical means. So I ended up getting help, and I noticed the the nightmares stop. I was less angry and all that type of stuff. I mean, I still had my issues, right? I mean, still had anxiety. I still had bouts of depression, and everything like that. And you know, so circa 2015, that club that I was in was really started to lose ground in Central Texas. Dude, not necessarily did anything that we were doing here, just it's mitigating factors from other stuff. Uh, and I mean, I'm the type of person I don't like to fail. And our inability to complete our mission, it it really weighed me down because I felt, even though things, factors completely beyond my control, I felt like it was my failure, right? And I felt like if I couldn't complete the mission of veterans helping veterans, you know, what good am I?
Right.
Right? And so, we also had, I also had the issue with, my wife and I had a lot of difficulty having children. For 6 years, talking miscarriage after lack of sticking after lack of sticking, after miscarriage. And I was to the point where I felt if I couldn't father her child, she deserved to be a mother. She'd be better off to find someone that could father a child. So that perceived burden on her, on that sense of thwarted belonging and purpose. Those were two, I mean, there were some other things going on with the job and, my family up north and just all these different things weighing me down. I ended up having to go up north, had to plan a trip to go up north to help my brother get my mother's house ready to go on the market. And, a buddy of mine that I was stationed with in Hawaii, he ended up getting out and moving up north, up to Pennsylvania where I'm from, or within a couple hours. And he had done work on my other bikes previously, so I ended up shipping parts to him. He's going to put ape hangers and new grips and stuff on my bike. And then as I get closer to the trip and all these things are weighing me down, I got caught in that negative feedback loop, and I decided it was going to be a one-way trip. And so I rode up, did the stuff with helped my brother, and then went to my buddy's house. Got the new handle, 17-inch ape hangers with metal grips and stuff like that. And I mean, I have a big Harley Davidson, right? So I decided I didn't want to do it because I was staying with my brother. I didn't want to do it in my brother's house. But so I decided that on my way back, I was going to ride as far as I could, stop, and then that night I was going to do it. So I rode, I don't know, 500-600 miles that day, and when you have metal on metal upon skin on a big V-twin motorcycle, there's vibration, and that vibration goes into your hands. And so when I stopped for the night, I ended up having temporary neuropathy in my hands. My hands were completely numb. And I mean, to the point where when I, went to the hotel room and was checking in, I literally had to grip it like a fat old crayon or something, and try to do what you sign it that way. But I went up to the room, had my pistol out, I was holding it in my hands. I could barely hold it, let alone grip it tight enough to manipulate it and put my thumbs in the trigger well and squeeze the trigger. So I set it down. Was upset for a while. Then I ended up making it home. So, and that was August. Then So the two biggest factors were, again, my inability to father a child and my inability to help my fellow veterans. And so when I, I started doing some stuff, I helped an organization do a poker run, and that felt good, right? And then that was in November of 2015. It wasn't until after that that I told my wife what was going through my head a few months prior. And I saw, even though I was somewhat better, in that, at that time frame, I saw the pain I was feeling transfer to her, and I hadn't even done anything. But then that next month in December, she got pregnant. She let me know she was pregnant. That following spring is when I started planning the first spring kickoff. That was that purpose, that ability to actually help veterans. So all the things that were weighing me down so badly, issues with my job got resolved and all that type of stuff, and all that stuff that was weighing me down so badly, they resolved. Right? I mean, it's, I've said it before, I'll say it again, and a lot of people say it, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that's what it would have been, because the problems that I was having were temporary, and they ended up resolving. But by doing the spring kickoff and actually, making a true impact to help an organization, I mean, we ended up raising enough funds to provide 77 contact hours of treatment, of PTSD treatment. I mean, that really sparked a fire within me, right? It gave me that sense of mission and that sense of purpose. And then, after that is when I started networking more within the veteran community, and started meeting a lot of different folks and that I had never heard of, their organizations or anything like that. And that's when I saw the need for the first Vet Fest, and planned all that, and then everybody thought it was a great idea. But one of the questions I heard over and over and over, hey, this is a great idea, but who are you with? Well, I'm just kind of a dude doing this, right?
Yeah.
Well, the first event was successful. First Vet Fest was successful. And I said, okay, well, I want to keep doing this.
Right.
So that's when I formed OP Veteran. And then just, over time, the mission of realizing that being involved, and being engaged within the veteran community and helping your brothers and sisters find the resources that they need, as well as being involved and working to better the veteran community. That's that purpose, that mission that I was missing for so long. And it's been a godsend to me. So I mean, that's what the organization is essentially about. Is, yes, we want to help you connect you with services, but we also want to get you involved. You get the help that you need, pay it forward, give back, whether with your time and your passion to help. We all, I can't really say I know a veteran and say, well, I got my help, screw everybody else. We're just not like that. But have that mission and that purpose, and slowly figure out who you are. Right. I mean, that's one of the things is, you spend 3 years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years in the military. You're that person for so long. When you have this mentality ingrained in you. This is who I am. I'm going to suck it up and drive on. Mission first, mission always, all that type of thing. And then you grind to a sudden halt, and you're out on your own. You don't have that mission anymore, and now you're stuck with yourself and all the negative shit that you've gone through over the past, however many years, it starts coming to the forefront, and that's when you kind of get stuck in that negative, that negative spiral, and we isolate ourselves. We don't want to ask for help, and that's when bad things happen. So, I mean, we just, we just had that suicide yesterday at the Austin VA, and it's, I mean, watching social media and some of the comments. It's like, well, the VA has a finite budget. They have a finite staff, and they can only do their part so much, right? And I truly believe that we need to come together as a veteran community, not just hey, the VA has to handle everything, or OP Veteran has to handle everything, or this organization has to handle everything. We all have individual missions.
Right.
We all have finite budgets. We need to work together and collaborate in order to really help veterans holistically. And I think that's where we always tend to as much as we complain about the VA, that's where we always go.
Right.
That's where we always go. And we don't engage these organizations that provide counseling services or peer-to-peer support services or just engagement. We go to the VA and then we complain, and then and it's really when that, I mean, it's it's a tragedy when anybody kills themselves. But when a veteran is to the point to where they go into the VA in front of their fellow veterans, they do that. Another way of explaining suicide is it's not an end to the pain; it's a transference. Right? The pain that veteran was feeling transferred to his friends, his family, and all those people that witnessed.
And even you and whoever heard about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
I didn't know him. I don't even know his name yet. All I know is,
you could feel that ripple effect.
Yeah, it's a ripple effect, and the disappointment of, I mean, we just had a great event over this last weekend, and I'm like, wow, we're making an impact, right? And then 3 days later, somebody 20 minutes down the road, right? And it's like, damn, if I would have done something, something a little bit more to reach out to, get the word out about what we do and everything like that, we could have saved one. But a friend of mine, Jim Cochran, he runs another veteran nonprofit, Code 6. They do a lot of peer support stuff. He says to me that suicide is one last practice of control, and I add to that statement, it's one last practice of control by a person that is in a world where they feel like they have no control. Right? And
that's powerful.
It's I mean, it's a tragedy, but it's whenever I hear about a veteran ending their life, I mean, I feel it, right? Because it causes me to reflect upon when I was there.
That's what I was thinking. I feel like people forever be connected to that because you have been, it's almost like this vulnerable place you were in, and it connects you to anybody else who finds themselves in that place as well. And I think that's what, really fuels a lot of what you do in this community. And, what I love that I'm hearing is that you have your nonprofit, but I hear that you want to, like what you called it, like the cross
intersecting fields of fire.
Yes, that you have your thing, but you don't want to be in a bubble. Like, I want to connect with as many organizations as I can so that you spread that net, so that there is that community. And I'm loving that you're saying, because everybody does go to the VA, right? That's where, nobody else knows where to go. That's where they're going to go. And although the VA is limited, right, the people that are in that community aren't as limited. So even if it's just manpower, even if it's just showing up, getting these communities to essentially kind of surround the VA and say, let's create that, what'd you say again, intersecting fire, yes, so that people don't feel like the VA is the only option that they have, but maybe they go to the VA and say, here are all the options that you actually have.
Yeah.
Right. This is kind of our hub, and from there maybe we can connect. And so there's hope in that, and I love that, because there's still people that are trying to reach out and saying, you know what, this is so sad, that someone just felt like they had no other recourse left, and that the self-talk in their mind and whatever's going on got so heavy on them. But the blessing in that is that, what about the others that haven't gotten there yet?
Yeah.
Right. And how can everyone band together? I mean, this is unfortunate, but how can we make sure that this is not a waste? That we can learn and try to reach out and say, okay, like you've been doing that. I mean, it's been powerful. Your posts on Facebook where you're saying, like you said, don't use a permanent solution to temporary problem, or reach out. Someone's right around the corner, and I think that just touches the nail on the head. Is one, like you said, purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Like everybody, we're built for purpose. We were born in this world with purpose. I believe every single person is very important.
Yeah.
They are, and they need to know that they're important. And there are so many things out there that want to steal that.
Yeah.
To steal that truth. And it's so easy for us to get caught in the feedback loop is what it is.
Yeah.
And we almost need something to interrupt that signal.
Yeah.
We can't do it on our own. And I think that is the attack, is that when you get stuck in it, it gets harder and harder and harder to reach out.
Yeah.
And really, that's where it comes to our responsibility on the outside, like, I need to call and check on that person. So those of you who are listening or watching, this is just my code and things that I do. Is if somebody comes to your mind, even if it's random, check on that person.
Yeah.
Because I have noticed that can make a huge difference.
Yeah, and I mean, I was, so, I did I guess my response to what happened yesterday. And I had this guy in Pennsylvania reach out, older Vietnam era veteran, 60-some years old. He's like, I feel myself going to that place. I don't want to, but I need help. I don't want to go to the VA. And again, I refuse to bash the VA. But he didn't want to go there. But he felt himself going to that dark place, going to that ledge. And he's like, I don't know where to go. I'm 67 years old. Only insurance I have is Medicare. Where can I go? I mean, we're in Austin, Texas.
Right. Right.
But I mean, and I'm fortunate, Kimmy, our social media manager and secretary, I said, hey, can you look up some resources in Harrisburg, right? And she was able to find something, and we got him connected, and he's going to get the help he needs. And we had, on one of those posts, about a month or so ago, we had our crawfish boil, and there was a couple there. A guy was a veteran, and I'm just talking to him or whatever, and somebody comes up and say, hey, we're out of propane. We need you to run to the store. I'm like, well, I'm kind of busy. But, guy's like, I'll run to the store for you. And I'm like, cool, man. Definitely appreciate the help. So we sent him on his way to the store. But he commented today that, that day he was having a really hard day. And just by doing that little bit of grunt work, but he felt like he had purpose again.
Yes,
and
it's amazing.
Because he was contributing to something larger than himself. Right.
And also that trust. I was thinking that somebody likes to be, put with some kind of authority, like this person trusts me to go and bring them back this. And I think sometimes we kind of get caught in this. We don't want to ask anybody to bother anybody, but someone told me it makes people feel good to ask them to help you. And I think we forget that.
Yeah.
Someone said that, like, I'm so glad you asked me to help you because it makes me feel good. And I'm like, wow. Like I'm thinking, I don't want to bother you.
Yeah.
But like, you're blessed by me even asking you to help me. And I think we forget about that mutual benefit that happens whenever you ask and someone's willing to help you, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And everything. Such a powerful point. and everything. And name that organization, the one that you said that you guys were able to donate to.
Oh, the Corporal Chad Oldschlager Foundation.
Yes, and you said that they helped you as well, right?
They
And
help.
it was like alternative
Oh
medicinal
no, no, no!
things,
It's not
right? Or
alternative medicine. It's they utilize a technique called EMDR, and I'm gonna mess it up about what it stands for, but it's eye movement desensitization and reprogramming,
oh, okay.
something maybe. I'm sorry, Tanya, if I messed it up. The doc. But it's basically it's an exercise that you go through. She's a psychologist, but it's an exercise that you go through that, and I don't necessarily know how it works, but it you know it enables you to process the trauma that's stuck in your frontal lobe, your short-term memory, and it helps you process it to your long-term memory,
Wow.
right?
Okay.
And one of the examples I give is one of the things that stayed with me was my last tour. I managed my squadron's local national interpreters, and we had this 19-year-old Assyrian Christian girl working for us, and she went out like on a civil affairs mission, and then that that mission got that convoy got hit, got blown up by an IED. I was given the task to identify the corpse, and I mean it was a charred husk, right? So the heat, the smell, the feeling of the heat on the air, that's everything, right? It stuck with me. Anytime I smelled burning hair,
It brings that memory.
it I was there again, right? And then I underwent that treatment, and I mean, I'm like I think I said earlier. I mean, I was sleeping better. I was a little bit more open and communicative. Was less angry and everything like that. But it really didn't click with me how the treatment helped. And then I was out with some friends, and we were at a bar, and the bartender was doing a setup of flaming Dr. Pepper shots, right? And the bartender had a long, magnificent beard, right? And he poured a whiskey in his mouth, and he was going to had a lighter in front of his face, and to light it. Well, of course he's going to send his beard a little bit, and I smelled it, right? And I thought of that moment, but I wasn't reliving it. I wasn't there.
It wasn't triggering those emotions so
Yeah,
readily,
it didn't.
right? It was a memory rather
It was a
than
memory rather than
emotions accompanying with it.
yeah. So that's when I truly realized what
Wow.
that treatment gave back to me.
That's amazing.
Right. So no, I mean it's not alternative. I mean it's.
I mean, I guess what I'm thinking is that you're not having, like you're saying, they give you kind of that medicine cabinet. I've heard this before, actually, when James was on here. He was like, they give you the medicine cabinet, and you kind of, if you might react poorly depending on what's going on, and so it's nice to have something else to do as well, or in addition to, or instead of, depending on people's preferences, and it's just amazing to hear.
Yeah, I mean, I was advised, hey, you might not want to take those. And so I got help elsewhere. And that's the thing. I mean, there's a myriad of different things that people do to cope with PTSD, right?
That's a good word.
It's, whether it be healthy coping mechanisms, whether it be unhealthy coping mechanisms, self-medicating.
But it's almost like managing instead of healing,
Yeah,
right?
and this is healing the trauma, right? And that's the biggest thing, because I mean, I had a conversation last week. It's like, well, somebody was talking about how they're experimenting with ecstasy and shrooms and marijuana and all that stuff to treat PTSD. I'm like, it's putting a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
I mean, you're still.
It's an escape of some sort.
It's an escape, and I mean, I got it, and I said it earlier, mental health, it's hard work.
Yes.
right? It's
Yeah.
hard work, not
Everybody's
just
so different. There's so
not
many different
not just
things.
for the doc, but for the patient as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So not
You're
everybody's
right.
necessarily ready to go
Those
through
places.
that, go to that step, right? But so, they'll do the healthy coping mechanisms or the, the whatever type of treatment or self-medicate. They do it to treat it until they're that ready. But I mean, one of the big things that I want to stress is there is a way to heal the
Actually
trauma,
heal.
right?
You don't have to live with it. You don't have to manage it forever. You can actually start the process of
Yeah.
healing. And you know, how much hope is there in that? Because so many, I know my husband and I had this talk recently just about other kinds of forms of treatments when it comes to addictions and things like that. And a lot of things teach you have to learn how to live with it for the rest of your life.
Right.
And I think that when you're in a bad place, that can really weigh in on you.
Yeah.
You know, but if you're healing, there, if you talk to people who said, you know what, been there, been where you're at, been even worse than where you're at, and you can heal. It's a process, and you have to want to do it and be ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, but it is doable. And one of the things that we love to talk about with this, with opting out and all of that, is that everybody has their own path.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't walk someone else's, but you can lock arms. You can connect. It's all about community. Hearing where like when somebody's been down a place where you haven't been yet, then maybe you're afraid to get on there, and that's okay too. We all have our timing. But what's cool thing is your path is not going anywhere. It's yours.
Yeah.
And when you're ready to start traversing it, there are people all over that have been where you've been.
Yeah.
Like been where you've been ahead of where you're trying to go, and they can reach out. That you can reach out. They'll reach out to you, and accountability. And what I love about what you do, like on the other nonprofits and better nonprofits in our community, is the fact that it's like you are casting a net. You're casting a wide net, even through like Vet Fest. We got to go to Vet Fest, and it was epic. It was huge.
Yeah.
You know, and how many people even you've been driving by, and I feel like there are no coincidences, right? When people are reaching out, they want something. Even just I actually drove by this place. Now I'm connected into this community.
Yeah.
Or I happen to run across it here. They have something coming up. Now I'm here.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe that when we step in that obedience to do what we're called to do for that purpose, we tend to awaken the purpose in others just by having them show up.
Yeah.
It's powerful. I'm getting goosebumps.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things, and I've said it, so like I said, I got treatment for PTSD. That was prior to my attempt.
Right.
Right. And again, I think I compare PTSD to a fog when you're driving down a windy road, right? It doesn't clear right away, but it clears,
Yep.
right? But you're still going to have curves,
Your
turns,
struggles.
inclines, a rock rolling across the road,
Right.
tree branch or something.
Right.
You're still going to have obstacles
The
in
elements
life.
are going to come against you still.
Yeah.
Yes.
And and at that time, I mean, when my last few years in the Army, I was what was called a master resiliency trainer, basically positive psychology, coping skills, how to overcome your own your human negativity bias. And I'll be honest with you, I got out and I forgot all about it, right? I mean, I'm, banging my head against a wall because I literally had, this big old binder with all this course material and stuff like that. And as we were moving from Hawaii, I pitched all of it. I'm like, and now I preach this stuff because that's what I do to help myself.
Right.
And I really want to encourage others to I did an exercise last year, posting about hunting the good stuff. Find something positive in your life every day, something that you've done or
That's
something
good.
someone else has done for you that made you feel good. It could be, it could be as minuscule as, hey, I was playing Call of Duty and, there's this, 10-year-old kid. It was, just kept sniping me, and I, ended up, running up behind the little booger flinger and, cutting him, right? And so it made me feel like, hey, 19 years of military training wasn't worth wasn't a waste of time. End up knowing something about tactics. It could be something as trivial and as goofy as that
Right.
to, hey, we did an event, and this guy that helped us out for a little bit, said it really meant something. That type of positivity on that grander scale kind of give you one end of the
Yeah.
spectrum to the other. But I mean, it's anywhere along the way, and if as you get in the practice of doing that every day, you you train your mind to look for the positive things going
Love
on out
that.
there rather than just focusing on everything that's going wrong. I mean, I don't know that everybody knows this, but like, so I think it was the week before the second Vet Fest, I got laid off, right? I mean, I was, been primarily in project management since I've been out. I got laid off from my project management job, which was it was a good job, good money, to not being able to have really truly gainful employment for over a year, right? And that's when I really was using those
Those skills.
resiliency skills. I mean,
Yes.
because we were, I mean, I'm not going to lie, we were literally at the point to where we had, we had just signed the pre-agreement with the realtor, say, hey, yeah, come take pictures of the house. Like the like the week that they were gonna come take pictures of the house for it to go on the market, this guy I used to work with when I first got out of the army. He messaged me. He's like, "Hey, I'm on this contract. You mind if I pass your resume along?" And I was like, you know, said, "Yeah, please do."
Yeah.
And he passed the resume on, and the hiring director ended up. That guy called me. He left me a voicemail. He text messaged me. He sent me an email. He was like, "Hey, give me a call back. I'm trying to offer you a job."
That's awesome.
And I mean, we literally needed a Hail Mary to stay in our house, and
There it
we got
was.
it.
Right there.
You know what I
It's a
mean?
blessing.
So it's, but I mean, I could have eased. I mean, we had some help along the way. Make no mistake. Uh, but it could have, that, you know, not being that breadwinner. That's a huge, you know, dig to your ego, to your masculinity, to whatever. And that again, if I wasn't in the practice of, focusing on the positive, and a wife that's supporting me financially, emotionally, and everything like that, a little boy that just run around, either
Healthy.
just healthy and either just brightening my day every day, you know, in an organization that I love and everything like
That
that.
you get to spend more time at.
I just got to spend more time at. If I didn't focus on those positive things, I probably would have been back where I
where
was
you
a few
were
years ago.
before. That's
You know
amazing.
what I mean? So
It is a mindset, isn't it?
it's a mindset. I mean, and it takes time. It's a perishable skill.
You have to actually work it out.
Yeah,
have to
you have to
practice
actually
it.
work and practice. Like I said, I mean, when I first started doing the whole hunt the good stuff, I was like, shot a little booger flinger on Call of
Right,
Duty,
right,
right?
right.
To finding, hey, I got to, go have lunch with the wife, and we, we had somebody, playing music and blah 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 and whatever, right?
Beautiful.
That type of, finding those types of joyous moments,
Seeing the
or
beauty. That is so good.
yeah,
And you know, it's funny you said that. I was watching a teaching, and it's so true. And I'm one of those, what do you call it, master optimist encourager. But it's true. It definitely takes work. But one of the things it talks about is that you can retrain. Like, you can choose. I mean, it takes work, and you have to be very intentional with it.
Yeah.
But to shut down those thoughts with a truth that's positive, like, I'm having a bad day, but my children are healthy right now.
Yeah.
Or I'm having a really, I'm up, my body's okay, I'm working, I can go and do something, even if I'm not, working, or if I don't have, whichever. I can get up and move around and get
Yeah.
something done. Or I can focus on the nonprofit. I can use this time to build this up.
Yeah.
It's a wonder where it would be if you didn't have that time
Yeah.
that you've had this year. And so it definitely takes work, because the negative is definitely going to be louder than the positive stuff, because that's just how it's built up.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you just wait a minute, just wait a minute, and then the positive stuff. And I was saying, I've actually had a wilderness period that I've been in, and for me that's a lot, because I'm such an optimist and so joyful. But I remember I would just have to just start literally counting my blessings. okay, I got up this morning. The children are healthy. My husband's okay. You know,
Yeah.
I just had to start just listing things, even if I didn't feel like it.
Yeah. It's
Just doing it, you know. And one of the other lessons, and you might agree with this too, is I believe the heart and the feelings can be deceptive. I think a lot of times when we think, oh, we'll listen to our feelings, and a lot of the world teaches that, but a lot of times it can be deceptive. And in my experience, whenever I'm like, you know what, it just needs to get in line. Like I know that I need to be positive right now, even if I don't feel like it.
yeah.
And so I will just do it. Like my mind, nope, we're gonna do it. And heart and rest of you get in line.
Yeah.
And it does. And then you start feeling better. The other thing that knocks me out of that mode is helping. Whenever I'm feeling downy dumps, if I just check on somebody, it's so funny how I will snap out of it so quickly if someone needs me, or if I can go and volunteer my time somewhere or go listen to somebody who has something going on. That's such a quick way to snap me out of any of that, you know.
Yeah.
And I think just what you have is community. Come volunteer somewhere,
Yeah.
even if you don't feel like it. Just go be somewhere.
Yeah. And I mean, it's the thing. I mean, it's finding that belonging, finding that sense of purpose. That I mean, like I said, it brought me back, you
Right.
know, and you know, and I'm yeah, you know, I'm special and all that type of stuff. But I'm no,
But you are special.
I am.
That's the truth. Actually, you're extraordinary.
Yeah.
You are every single person. You are extraordinary, and you are teaching other people that they are also extraordinary.
That's where I want to get at. I'm no more extraordinary than anybody else, right? You know, I just do what I do because it helps me, and in return, I'm hoping that I can help somebody else. But I mean, and it's, you know, we talk about that ripple effect. I mean, you know, like Chato, they've helped me. They've helped,
Right.
you know, a number of different folks that have that purpose and have that mission, and they're going out and they're helping a bunch of other people. And it's like, you know, like I said, I had two folks reach out to me today. I was like, you know, and again, I'm no one more extraordinary than anybody else.
But you have made a choice to be a lighthouse, right? And the cool thing is though, is that you can encourage others to be a lighthouse, and you can encourage others, and then
Yeah.
now you have
And it's-
created a larger.
And my thing is, if I were to have given in the past, or whenever I have moments, because don't get me wrong, I still got a temper.
Right? It's
And
still a struggle,
make,
right?
make no mistake. I mean, oh, I had a couple. I had a couple moments last week. I was just like, you know. But I'm not.
Take that minute and be thankful.
I'm not gonna, you know, blast something that should have happened 4 years ago that didn't happen till now. You know, I'm not gonna blast anybody about it or anything like that. I'm just gonna focus on the good.
Right?
Hey, finally,
That's so good.
whatever.
That's so
But
good.
you know, focus on the good. Focus on the good. It's a practice. It's a struggle. You know, and Lord knows, you know, Saturday with that rain. Oh,
It worked out. It
Oh.
was like the sun came out in its glorious beauty before everything happened.
you know, I was driving to the, you know, I was loading out my truck in the, you know, early afternoon, and it was pouring down raining. And then as soon as I stop, I get done loading it up, it slows down. And then, but I get my truck, it starts coming back down heavy again. I'm going down Gaddis School Road. It's raining. I actually did you know, I did a live feed while I was driving. Probably not the best thing to do. Stay safe at home, kids. But I'm doing that, and I'm talking about, you know, using the analogy of, you know, like a wedding, you know, it raining on a wedding day, right? You know, if it rains on your wedding day, it's a good omen because that'll be less tears you have during the duration of your marriage or whatever. So I was trying to equate that to, okay, it's going to rain the day of the event, but that's to save us from the tears of, you know, a veteran suffering or something, right? And then as I'm talking about all that, I hit like this, you know, patch of like 1.5 feet of water.
Oh no.
And you know, people who watched it, you know, and talking to me at the event are like, yeah, we saw everything in the backseat of your truck just go, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go now. I'm gonna drive. But you know, I'm going towards there, and you know, as soon as I crossed A.W. Grimes, right, I started seeing blue. I'm like, and it was slowing down. And then by the time I got there, sunshine.
Isn't
And
that
it was,
wonderful?
I mean, it was a phenomenal event. I
And
mean,
what a good analogy, right? Like it's raining, but it's not going to be raining forever. The
no,
sun will
it
come
can't rain
out.
all the time.
It will. The sun will come out, and sometimes the rain can be good if you have perspective
Yep.
about it. That is so true. So, how can people connect with you?
So we're on Facebook.
So it's OP Veterans.
Yeah, facebook.com/OP veteran. We're on Instagram. Um, we're on the Twitter. I don't do the Twitter. Kimmy does it, and I have a Twitter account, and I'll just retweet. I don't. Brewster doesn't tweet. Um, but yeah, we're on Facebook. I mean, you can connect with me on my personal page, on my public profile page, which I don't do anything with because I don't know why it's too much work.
It is. I agree.
And then OP veteran as well. So
And what are y'all's needs? Like, if someone's watching and they're feeling like, I want to do something.
I need a grant, but no,
You know anybody who can get them connected with a grant?
yeah, no. I mean, we just want to get people involved, right? I mean, we got a lot of stuff coming up.
So volunteers.
I mean, yeah, and it's. I mean, we're working on developing an organized volunteer program, right? I mean, yes, we need, whenever we do events, yes, we need help with that type of thing, but we don't do events, big events every single month, right?
Right.
We want to, go out and whether it be doing Adopt a Highway or go clean, veteran cemetery, whatever the activity may be, or go
Right.
help in another organization.
Right.
We're working on formalizing that volunteer program before we launch it. But it's coming.
Awesome.
But
so they can kind of get on an email list, probably.
yeah, I mean, send us a contact form. We're building our distro list. But I mean, just come out to the events, have a good time.
Awesome.
Meet your fellow veterans and just realize that you're not alone, right? And you're not the only one that is going through a struggle. I mean, I think even even as puke in your mouth positive as I am, I still have my struggles.
Awesome. I think it's awesome.
I mean, but everybody has their struggles. Everybody
Yeah.
has their curves in the road that they're driving through, and it's important to realize I'm not the only one going through it.
That's right.
There is help out there,
That's right.
and that's what we really try to foster.
I love that. So, guys, for those of you who are listening, watching, we are so glad that you're here. I am so glad that you're here.
Thank you.
Denny, I'm going to have to high five you on the positive. Oh, we're going to
All right, yeah.
boom for coming. And, if you don't get anything out of it from right now, rewind it and listen to it again, because you can always do that. But one, reach out. Just always, just reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out. And two, if somebody comes to your mind, call them. Even if it doesn't make any sense, text them. Even if you think you're bothering them, better safe than sorry. You just never know what someone's going through. And I do believe that we have definitely a connection with each other to be in community and to check on one another, so that when things are rough, it feels so much better when you're not by yourself, right?
Yep.
It feels so much better when you think about, like, yeah, the road's tough, but hey, there's somebody right there running this race with me.
Yeah.
I'm not alone. Thanks so much for coming.
Absolutely.
I'm
It was
so
my pleasure.
glad, and we feel so blessed just hearing your story and you being just so raw and real and out there with that. And I just know that this is going to encourage someone who hears this now or whenever. God's timing is perfect. And isn't it interesting? We have actually been trying to get together for like a month, and
Yeah.
I wasn't even worried because perfect timing, right?
Yeah.
This is perfect timing, and I'm so glad. And you're feeling great, right?
I am.
I'm feeling great. And as we close, we're so glad you joined us, and thanks for opting out with us. And guess what, Denny? You're extraordinary. Yes, and you guys listening and watching are extraordinary. And thanks, Facebook, for coming. This is our first live. If you guys like it, let us know. We'd love to do more of this as we kind of do our podcast/video recording as well. So have a beautiful evening, everyone. Love you guys.